Ooh. Here's the question. How many androids would it take to control the Earth? How many androids would it take to control this entire planet? You see, the logical thinking, the rational idea, the most common fear is that there is an invasion from an advanced intelligence, an evil alien invasion. Because what they would do is they would invade with thousands of ships, and that they would blow up all the infrastructure and blast all the civilians and destroy all the militaries. That's conventional thinking. That has been the repeated pattern of fear through the media and through film, through blockbuster film, through books, through discussions, through even now in documentaries on television are suggesting that it is possible that an advanced race could come here to take over the planet, to wipe out the planet. Of course, I have countered that and suggested that is lunacy. It's a lunatic idea. It's totally ridiculous. It's propaganda. It's military propaganda in order to demoralize you, in order to keep you afraid, in order for you to welcome more security, more cameras, more screenings, more drones, so as to ensure your protection from anything, any illusion. Because it is an illusion, because there's never been an evil alien invasion, even though it's been sold at least since 1938, when the War of the Worlds was broadcast on radio. That became a film in the 50s, that became a big blockbuster film in 50 years later, starring Tom Cruise, directed by Steven Spielberg. We have been inundated with this idea that an advanced race of beings. Now the key word is advanced. I have to stress that because the human identification with the word advanced is really stupid. Not advanced, it's stupid. Look how advanced we are, let's go invade. But an advanced race, this is the fear. The fear is that an advanced race will invade and take over the Earth. But because this propaganda, this advanced race will use human convention. They will invade using ships, and they will blast each of the 7 billion people with a laser, which could take a very long time. They will hunt down the people on foot as troops. It's the whole world, 7 billion people, thousands of cities. They're going to go into each city, hunt them down. It could take 50 years. And there's going to be a resistance, there's going to be a continuous battle. It doesn't make any sense except in terms of a fantasy, a science fiction. Because an advanced race does not think like a conventional human. And certainly an advanced race does not buy into military propaganda. And it is all military propaganda, this evil alien invasion, or this Earth destruction, end of the world. All of this is propaganda because it has not occurred, because it cannot occur, because it doesn't make any sense. Planet X has been approaching here for decades that I've seen in the research, and Planet X has not destroyed this planet. We haven't been sucked into a black hole. There's no rogue ninja dwarf star that has appeared from behind some asteroid and destroyed the world. There has been no invasion of motherships. So how do you control the planet? It goes back to my first question. How many androids would it take to control the world? You don't need an invasion. You wouldn't need to place androids throughout society. All you would need to start, you need to replace the leaders of the world as androids. That doesn't mean that these androids are not loyal to their nation. right? It doesn't mean that this android is loyal to that nation and that android is loyal to that nation, and then there's disagreement between the androids. That is highly likely. That makes sense because each android has to run the nation and their different cultures, different priorities, different situations, different scenarios. But ultimately the androids are controlled by the android makers. Whoever genetically engineered these people have within them the capacity to influence and control these people. So you do want nations to fight against each other. Why not? If this android nation and that android nation go against each other, then more and more people die. You know, there's blood loss. Blood loss feeds energy, feeds the vampires. There's nothing wrong with that. That's well within controlling the world. Keep humanity fighting against each other. And then they're too busy to figure out that they're being run by androids. But if you had only 2 nations that were controlled or run by androids, it wouldn't be enough. There are some 200 nations in the world. Not all of them are significant. Let's say we took over 50% of those nations, the biggest nations, the top 100 nations. We replaced the leaders with androids. Now, androids can be modified human beings, genetically engineered human beings, synthetic humans. We could mix these several people. We could have extraterrestrial beings. Any combination, but all of it belongs to the advanced race, right? Now, 100 nations of the world, all the biggest nations, the most powerful nations, are all controlled at the top by androids. Which means that the key positions power, the secretaries of defense, the key military commanders, the defense departments, the intelligence agencies, are going to have minions who are also genetically engineered. So I make 100 androids to control 100 nations. It's very easy. I take the DNA, I program the androids, I genetically engineer them to look exactly like the particular race. I insert them into the population. I modify the memory and thoughts of the local government, of the local people. I make a few speeches. I modify human behavior. I'm in the country. I control the nation. All I needed was a few strategic moves, well within the capacity of an advanced society. They have the technology, they have the skill, they're far more advanced than human societies. So now I control 100 nations. Once I control a nation, then my android can say, well, I want this guy as Secretary of Defense, I want this guy in charge of intelligence, I want this guy in charge of medicine, he's a Surgeon General, I want this guy in charge of science, and all of them belong to my friends who are making more androids, or making more genetically modified people, or there could be some extraterrestrial people. In any case, we're all part of the same advanced ground team. So now I can take over. All I need to do is take over the government. The government then takes over some of the banking institutions, some of the science institutions, the educational institutions. They start influencing society, telling them what's important. Take your vaccination. Taxes are important. This is your enemy. These guys are a threat. We have to go to war. You start establishing the status quo. You start establishing the cultural standards. Society, unaware of how powerful an advanced society is, society completely unaware, that doesn't believe in science fiction, that is afraid that an alien race would come here with ships and shoot them with big laser beams doesn't realize that an advanced society is advanced because it doesn't blow people up. It takes them over from the inside out. Take over the government, destroy the nation from within itself. Take it over, reprogram everybody. Now that nation is under control. The people now become patriotic. They will defend the ideas of the government. They will defend the ideas of the advanced controllers without ever knowing that they've been taken over. There's been an android coup d'etat. Now, over a period of time, all of this knowledge is forgotten. So we got one nation fighting against another nation, and another nation fighting against another nation. We have certain group of allies here. We got the axis of evil here. But all of them belong to the advanced societies. We have just forgotten. So how many androids does it take to take over the world? Well, you start with 100. 100 robots. Human-looking robots. I could take over 100 nations. If I had a factory, and I don't, if I had a factory and I had the technology to genetically engineer humans, to clone them, to copy them, to program them, I could create 100 political droids and insert them into the key 100 nations. I'd have them win the election. If I can't win the election, I'd have some intelligence agency bump off the president and then insert my person in there. If I couldn't do that, I'd just copy the president, clone the president, remove the real president and insert my clone copy, and then the next election I challenge my clone president with my android president, and my clone president will make a gaffe, will fumble the ball, will disappoint society, he'll make a few big mistakes, and the people will welcome the challenger, will welcome the new candidate, right? If I clone the current president, perfectly cloned, take all the memories, and then I have him make some blunder, some mistake, the people will hate this guy. And then I make him have another mistake and a gaffe and another mistake. The people will say, this guy, we want him out. And then I bring in my other android, says, I got some better ideas. I got the solutions. Makes a nice speech at a convention, and the people say, yeah, we had enough of this guy, which is my clone. We want this guy, which is my android. The people never know. You don't know. You're no longer in control as a society, because if I'm an advanced society, I'm in control. I've got you here and I've got you here. I control the east and the west. I control the south and the north. Every direction you look, that's my guy. My guy on the ground. And if it's not my guy on the ground, I swap him somehow. I say to my allied nation, my partner, I say, hey, listen, that president is causing me trouble and I want that nation. And my allied partner, who is controlled by an android, contacts the intelligence agency, which is run by another android or an extraterrestrial, and says, okay, we gotta serve the big boss up there. Let's have that president have an accident, sexual scandal, airplane crash. There's another, he makes a big gaffe at a rally. There's a coup d'etat. There's a, there's a revolt in his nation. We crash his economy. He gets booted out, whatever. And then we bring in our guy. Right? So, as you can see, if you're paying attention, and I'm not trying to be facetious, I don't need to invade the planet to take over the planet. In fact, what I'm suggesting is being done. In fact, what I'm suggesting is not even as advanced as what is being done. In other words, what is being done is even more subtle, is even more consuming, and worse. The worst part is, and I'm speaking about this because I'm bothered by all the effects of all of this propaganda and brainwashing, and even the people who are awake are just repeating this propaganda and brainwashing and doomsday and evil alien invasions and the motherships are going to save us. The reason I'm saying this is because not only has this been done, it's been done for a long time, such that whatever power structures we see in the world, whatever security structures we see in the world, are under the dominion of advanced races of people. Now, there are competing races. There are competing advanced races. There are those who've been here a long time who have established control, and they've established this, that guy's evil, and that nation's our allied partner, and that nation's a neutral power. They've developed all this stuff. They've created it over years and decades. So there's one advanced society who has established that, but there are other advanced societies who are more benevolent who would never think of taking over a nation. They'd rather provide counsel, they provide advisors to a local government. And they may say, you know, that nation, they may tell all the higher levels, that nation is under the control of X advanced society. So there is this, although the world can be taken over, there are some resistant forces, there are some benevolent forces. But that's an even bigger discussion because we don't know. We couldn't tell the difference between a human-looking android and a human. We couldn't tell the difference between a normal human and a cloned human. We can't tell the difference between a genetically engineered human and a synthetic human. So it's a useless discussion to look at this even further until we can accept the fact that humans can be copied, humans can be manufactured, humans can be modified, humans can be completely mind controlled. Even a normal human can be mind controlled to control. If you control the president, you control the nation. You don't need to invade. But this is my fundamental point. As an advanced society, I wouldn't need to invade any nation. I just need to mind control the leadership. And there are thousands of ways to do that. If I can't mind control, I can clone that leadership. If I can't clone the leadership, I can replace it. I can have them have some political mistake, and then I can have my android on standby who will say all the right things and who will be liked by all the people and who will bring hope and change to the population. The population will buy it because the population will not believe anything I'm saying. The normal people will not believe anything I'm saying because it's beyond their comprehension, because they are under the control of these advanced societies. They are in this hypnotic state, but it's not really a hypnotic state. They're in a frequency of vibration where they cannot see past the illusion. So they've been hypnotized to only see certain things, a certain vibration, and they can't get out of that vibration. It's like they're on the highway, they're stuck on the highway, but it's one of those trolleys. And there's a cable, there's a cable on an electric line, and they keep going around and round. This is what This is what is expected of you. Anything outside of this is complete fabrication, is a conspiracy. But some of us are waking up, some of us are stepping off of the tram. Some of us are stepping out of the prison. Some of us are realizing that what we've been told is a tiny fraction of the truth, that what we've been told is a lot of propaganda. There is so much propaganda that it could take me years to cover it if I could figure it all out. I couldn't figure it all out. There's just so much propaganda. So it wouldn't take much for an advanced society. Let's say there's one mothership. Let's even break this down one step further. There's one mothership with the technology to genetically engineer human beings. I need 100 presidents or leaders, prime ministers. I need some of their counselors, advisors. I need some security chiefs. I need some intelligence officers. I need some people on the ground. Let's say I need 1,000. Some motherships are really big. All I would need to do, I wouldn't even need to do it all in one day. I would need to produce 1,000 beings over, let's say, a year. 100 people a month. I could take over this planet in a year. Imagine I had 10 years. I could have 10,000. I can have 10,000 robots. Imagine I had 20 years. I could have 20, 30,000. I can expand my capacity. I can start producing people underground and underground bases. I could have 100,000 genetically engineered people, all of whom prefer my ideas from the mothership, prefer my ideas from the underground installations. So if I were to say, can I replace all the leadership in one day? That doesn't make sense. That would be a very lousy plan. But if I replace one leader a month, if I replaced, and I did so subtly, I did so surreptitiously, I did so intelligently, if I replaced advisors, if I replaced defense ministers every week, here and there, once a week, I'm changing people. They're my people, my people, my people, my people, my people. Infiltrate the whole system. This nation now is under my control. We want to coordinate with that nation which is under my control, become allied partners. Now I got twice as much influence, twice as much power. I go to the other nation, I got this military power. I say, listen, you want to be our friend or we'll blow you out of the water? They say, well, we want to be your friend. I get my people in there. You can see how this is very easily accomplished in any number of years. And we can assume, we can infer that they didn't start today. We can infer that they didn't start yesterday. We can infer that they started at least, 50, 60 years ago, which means there could be tens of thousands of android beings, and we couldn't tell the difference. Which means, who's in control of the planet right now? Are humans in control of the earth? Well, if you ask the local person, the civilian, the populace, they think that this is a human planet. They've never seen extraterrestrials. There's never been a disclosure. They have no concept of an android person. They have no concept of a synthetic human. I know that I've been speaking about it for 2 years, and people just don't want to go there. They don't understand it. There's a very small handful of people who understand it. Majority don't want to go there. So the average person, forget about it. You're talking about science fiction. So if you ask the local people, human beings, they would have no doubt in saying this planet is run by humans, because we haven't seen an invasion, we haven't seen the motherships, there's been no asteroid crashing into us, there's been no Messiah return, Quetzalcoatl, the Mayan god, hasn't popped up. So therefore, to human planet. But my approach is this, that if this place was taken over, if they started the takeover 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and continually massaged our memories and continually replaced people and adjusted DNA and genetically modified people and cloned people and created synthetic people, activated certain androids who were dormant, well, this place is completely under control. Now, the proof is, if you look on the global stage, the perennial war, the terrorist threats, the threats of nuclear Armageddon, the flu epidemics that don't make any sense, the vaccination programs that don't make any sense, now the TSA screenings which are molesting people, the drone attacks. If you look at all of this, the established religions that haven't gone away for thousands of years, if you look at the composite story, my theories tends to make a lot more sense. That this place was already taken over long ago, and all the things have been put in place to create an illusory reality that has been translated as real, but all of it has been inserted as a form of imprisonment. So if I was an advanced race and I wanted to invade the Earth, I wouldn't invade the Earth like they've been showing you in this military propaganda, evil alien invasions, which looks nice for kids to watch on television and the big theater, the big screen. But really what I would do is just replace a bunch of people, reprogram them, change the memories, tell people what to think, tell people who the enemy is, vaccinate all the children for no reason, but make sure that we shut down their DNA processes so they can't wake up, keep them in a limited spectrum of frequency, adjust everything, cover up the truth about the moon, make up lies, make up stories, hide the facts. Voila! Voila! That's the world. It doesn't take much for androids to take over this world. And this is essentially what I think, my speculative analysis and based on my research on androids, this makes not only a lot of sense, it's executable. Because these people can make androids. All they need to do is sell everybody the idea of an invasion and threats and the end of the world, while at the same time inserting more and more of the androids. It's all part of an android takeover.